Hello and welcome back. In the last video, we have understood using either application context or bean factory, we can start the Spring framework. You can activate the Spring IOC container. Application context is what we have used. Going forward, we'll understand on the bean factory as well. Using this class, we have activated the Spring IOC container, and in the application.config file, we have specified what my Spring has to do it. If I have to open application.config file, you can see here, I have told Spring, please create a bean of the Spring Boot class, Java class, and T-shape skills class. If Spring is creating object of these classes, if Spring is managing these objects, then we call them as bean. If as a developer you create the object, we call it as Java object, Java instance. And if this object is created and managed by Spring framework, Spring IOC container, then we call that as Spring bean. We have told, please create a bean of Spring Boot, that is object of Spring Boot, Java, and T-shape skills class. And also we have specified what should be the reference ID of that bean. What is the reference variable of this bean? Usually whenever we create the object for any of the class, we create reference variable, right? What is the name is also we have specified SB for Spring Boot, Java, and T. And also using the property tag, we have specified Spring, please perform dependency injection using the setter. That is what I have told. Alongside the property tag, we do also have something called as constructor argument tag. Constructor argument referring to please perform the dependency injection using the constructor, not using the setter. We have discussed in the last video that if you go with the property, it is setter injection. If you go with the constructor arg, it is the constructor injection. So let me just comment this here. If I have to comment this, and let me go to my class, T-shape skills class. And in the T-shape skills class, I will just activate this. Great. All right. Let me just uncomment this part. I would like to uncomment this. And I would like to also give one message here. I would like to give one message. System.out.println. I'll say being created. And maybe I'll say here dependency injection. I would like to say here dependency injection through the constructor. Let me add that message here. As you can see, I have added the message dependency injection through the constructor. We do also have a message setter injection through the constructor. However, what did I specify in my application.config file? What information did I give to my Spring framework? I have told, look, please perform the dependency injection using the constructor. If I have to run this application, of course, Java will be injected, but through the constructor. You can see here, if I have to run this, you can see dependency injection through constructor. That is constructor injection is what happening here. Fine. And whenever you want to perform the dependency injection through the setter, we have a property tag. Whenever you want to perform dependency injection through the constructor, we have constructor tag, right? Now, do we have any other option? The answer is yes. This is manual dependency injection. Manually, you are specifying Spring framework that look, perform the dependency injection using the setter. Inject Java object to this variable which is present in the setter, present inside the T-shape skills. That is, in the T-shape skills class, we do have a setter available. Inside the setter, we do have this reference variable of type iCourse. To this reference variable, please inject this Java object through constructor or through setter. If it is constructor arg tag. If it is setter, we specify property tag. Now I want auto wiring. I want automatic dependency injection. This is manual wiring. You are connecting two classes manually. You are specifying inject Java object through this setter to this variable which is available inside this. There is a variable here of iCourse type. Through the setter, please inject Java object. Manually, you are wiring, connecting two classes, connecting two objects. I don't want to do that. I want to go with auto wiring, automatic dependency injection, automatic connection of two objects here. So for which we do have some attributes. I want to perform dependency injection. I want my Spring to inject a dependent object in my T-shape skills class, because as we have discussed earlier, T-shape skills is a target object, Java and Spring Boot is a dependent object. That is, inside T-shaped skills, you are using services of Spring Boot and Java. So here I'm going to add one attribute called as autowire. Autowire. And you can see we have by name, by type, constructor or no. I'll go with by type. I have told here, I have not told property tag or constructor. I have not told whether it is a setter injection or constructor injection. I have told autowire. Automatically perform the dependency injection by type here. So if I have to open this T-shaped skills, so we do have I course type course reference, which is accepting in your constructor also, in your setter also, both the places I course type. Now, how many classes, how many objects are there right now which are of type I course? We have two things. One is Java, because Java is also implementing I course interface, and Spring Boot is also implementing I course interface. So there are two classes which are of type I course. That means to this particular reference variable, we can inject two objects. Java object also we can inject, Spring Boot also we can inject, because both of them are of type I course only. Now, if I have to go to my application.xml, I have not told whether it is a setter or constructor injection. I have told, please perform dependency injection automatically by type. Now, by type means both of them are eligible, because this is also of type I course. Java is also of I course, because Java is also implementing I course and Spring Boot is also implementing I course. So both two objects are eligible here. Which object my Spring will inject is what we may have to see here. I'll go here. I will say right click, run as Spring Boot or Java application. And you can see we have got an exception. No unique bean exception. No qualifying being of type service I course available. Expected single matching but found to SB and Java. There are two objects which are eligible for this I course. There are two objects eligible for this. Which should I inject? My Spring is confused now. Look at the beautiful message. By using the Spring framework, we are calling ourselves a developer. The one who have developed these beautiful frameworks, they are the real developer. Look at the beautiful message they have given. No qualifying being of type this. We are expecting one, but there are two. That is, this is also eligible to be injected. Java is also eligible to be injected, because I course, there are two types, Spring Boot and Java. Both of the classes are implementing I course interface. That means both of them are type I course. Now, which should I inject? Should I inject Spring Boot or Java? I don't know that. I'm confused. I cannot do favoritism. I cannot pick any one and randomly perform the dependency injection. You have told automatically inject the object by type, whichever is of type I course. What I found out is there are two classes which are of type I course. Java also, Spring Boot also. Now, which I have to inject, I'm not sure on that. Which I have to inject, I'm not sure on that. Now, for which, that is the reason we have got here exception. I'll go and say here, maybe I want to inject this Spring Boot. I'll say here primary equals to, I would like to go here true. That means please inject Spring Boot. You have to give primary focus on this Spring Boot. Now there will not be any ambiguity. I would like to save this and I would like to go and run my application. If I run, you can see Spring Boot course is purchased. That means Spring Boot object is injected. And one more beauty I want you to focus here is I have not specified that it has to perform the dependency injection through the setter or through the constructor. Now, which is by default Spring is using, it is setter. Setter is called for setter injection. I hope you're able to. I have not specified. I have not used any property tag, constructor tag. I have told automatically perform the dependency injection by type. Whichever is of type I course, please inject. Earlier, Spring was confused because there were two beans eligible for I course, Java also, Spring Boot bean also, because both of them are of type I course. Then I have clarified, removed the confusion, ambiguity for the Spring. I have told primary true. That means please inject the Spring Boot object, Spring Boot object automatically here to my T-shaped skills. I have specified here by using the primary attribute. Now there is no ambiguity. the more interesting part here is I have not told whether it has to follow the constructor injection or the setter injection. I have told just perform the dependency injection automatically, and you can see we have got setter. That means internally behind the scene, Spring is using setter injection. Now, like the way we have this byType, let me just take this once again. I would like to just comment this off, and I would like to go here, and we also do have equals to constructor. That means I'm telling please perform the dependency injection automatically by the constructor, right? So now if I have to save this, I would like to go here, right click, run as Java application. You can see constructor will be invoked, dependency injection through the constructor. I have told please perform dependency injection through the constructor. Making sense? Now suppose I would like to go back here. Let me just comment this, and I don't want to comment this part. I would like to uncomment this, and I will comment this part. Maybe I'll comment this entire part. Now, I have not told my Spring to even create the bean of Spring Boot. I have told Spring, please create a bean of Java. Please create a bean of T-shape. Now I'm telling, please perform dependency injection automatically by type. For my Spring framework, is there any ambiguity? No, there is no ambiguity because we have only one bean, Java bean available with the Spring IOC container. Spring IOC container has not even created the Spring Boot bean. It is not even there. I have not told, right? I have commented this. It is not a part of my code now. I have told create a bean of Java class. Spring has created it. Create a bean of T-shapes class. Spring framework has created it. Also, I've told perform the dependency injection automatically, whichever is of type iCourse. Now, right now, only one Java object is available, which is of type iCourse. Why? Spring Boot class is there, right? Yeah, it is there. But in the configuration class, I have not specified. I have not told my Spring framework that you have to create a bean of the Spring Boot. I have commented this part. So right now, Spring will create bean of only Java. So in the Spring IOC container, only Java object is available. We don't have Spring Boot object. So there is no confusion at the time of dependency injection. Right now, in the Spring IOC container, there is only one bean which is eligible, which is of type iCourse. So only one bean is there. There is no ambiguity. Spring will perform the dependency injection of Java to this through the setter. If you have not specified anything, by default, Spring use setter. It is also a message that setter injection is always preferred over the constructor or the field injection. If I have to run this, you can see no ambiguity here. I have not used primary or anything because Spring IOC container has only one Java bean, which is of type iCourse, which Spring easily can perform the dependency injection inside this T-shape skills automatically using the setter. You can see here, setter is called for the setter injection. I hope you could able to understand. If you have watched all the videos from the beginning, overview of the Spring framework, why Spring framework, where we have talked about dependency injection using the Java application, and also Spring framework overview, the very first video of the SpringCore, and this happens to be the next video of the SpringCore. If you have watched all those videos, you will not face any issue to understand this. Any ambiguity if you have, you can always rewatch this video. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. We'll meet again in the next video.